Hello everyone, my name's Jeff Calnan, and Napack and I went to Columbia Business School and played rugby together there a very long time ago. So I'm here to toast, in a way, his 50th birthday. Now you don't know me, and you're thinking, he doesn't know and love Napack the way I do, and you're right. I don't love Napack. I don't even like Napack. But recently I got a disturbing email from Napack saying he was going to retire from rugby. Now this isn't a tragedy because we wouldn't miss his play on the field. However, we would miss his George Blanda foot. Napack's foot is the highest scoring player in the history of Columbia Business School rugby. No kidding. And look at him, he loves it when I tell people this. So I'm here because of Napack's foot. Now, does anyone actually call Napack Brian? I didn't even know it was his first name until our second semester of playing rugby together. But I bet he was Brian up at Middlebury. Earlier this year, I took my high school son, up to visit Middlebury and found it very, very difficult to believe that Napack went to this ultra-liberal, tree-hugging, LL Bean uniform, CIA recruiting depot. Just didn't make any sense. And as my son and I wandered the halls of the athletic complex, we ran into the rugby coach with whom we chatted for a bit. I asked him if he knew Napack, and he said he wasn't sure. I explained that Napack graduated in the mid-'80s and played on the rugby club. He stopped and pondered for a moment and said, "You mean Brian?" And I said, "Yeah, Brian Napack. He's the guy." Well, the coach smiled and said, "Sure, I remember Brian. He was a pretty good rugby player." He also had this late-night campus radio program called Brian Time. The coach went on to explain that Brian had this real soothing, mellow style. He'd call out and say, "Hello, late-night Middleburyan lovebirds. And thanks for tuning in to Brian Time." It was really weird. Anyway, my son and I met the lax coach, then went to the information session where we learned about interesting ongoing projects at Middlebury, including one where they grew dirt. I just don't get it. And during the session, one aspiring student in a bow tie, no shit, who sounded like John Malkovich, again, no shit, asked whether or not Middlebury had colloquial Arabic. I turned to my son and said, "Tyler, that was my question, darn it." And then I stood up and said, "You accept that, putz? My son's not coming here to play lacrosse." Anyway, Napack is not Middlebury. Napack is New York City, a cacophony of sirens, honking horns, and trash trucks. Napack is edgy. Napack is a term used in a Batman fight. Bam, zowie, boff, Napack. That didn't work, did it? That's okay. I'm here, you're there. Napack is the name of a coffee drink with 6 shots of espresso. That's Napack. Anyway, Napack and I played rugby together consistently to this day since 1986, and during business school had a special relationship on and off the field. I can't tell you how many times I punched Napack in the face while trying to strip the ball he was holding up high at his chest. Presenting the ball lower continues to be our favorite argument to this day. In actuality, Brian doesn't want to present the ball lower because he knows I'm right. And I don't want him to present the ball lower because I like punching him in the face and telling him to present the ball lower. Off the field, Brian would take advantage of me getting all wound up at rugby parties. That means drinking too much beer. And then suggest certain antics like one on the table and the bone dance. These would frequently have us finding a new place to drink, and usually at high speeds. And who else but Napack could invent a drinking game called You Drink? Think about it. And when I think about it, Napack is really kind of like my rugby wife. Now, in B school, Brian and I took one marketing class together and did a team project for a product called Arbrick. I was the busy little bee working diligently during the time assigned. And the week before the presentation, we had a group meeting, and Napack threw out all my work, and then along with another guy just made some shit up. What are you going to do? About 2 nights before the presentation, the group called another meeting, and I told Napack I wasn't coming. Anyway, at the presentation, Napack got up and proceeded to present something that was nothing more than fantasy with supporting data that came from nowhere. As you might have guessed, we got a pretty good grade. It makes sense now that Napack has built his career, his very successful career, in publishing, because he's an expert at fiction. Anyway, here's the truth. I do love Napack. I just hate admitting it. So happy 50th birthday, you old fart. And if you retire from rugby, you're Brian to me. Bye-bye.